What's going on with the altcoin market? Are we doomed, about to head lower with altcoins and have lower valuations against Bitcoin? Or is something else going on and we're going to go much higher pretty soon and have a massive altcoin season? I'd like to address that in this video. Welcome back to Crypto Simulation Theory. I'm the Gaussian Snack. And be sure to like, comment, subscribe on this video. Join my free Telegram group, the Snack Pit, for daily alerts, TA, and new project info. Nothing I talk about here is intended to be financial advice. If we look at total 3 on the weekly, divided by Bitcoin, of course, because I don't care what total 3 is doing against the US dollar. I only care how altcoins are doing against Bitcoin. We can see that this structure that began in June of 2023 after this massive capitulation of altcoins against Bitcoin has held up reasonably well for almost a full year now. And the Gaussian channel inflected actually a while ago in December, has been concave up ever since. Concave up and widening. And price has been just marching straight into the channel. So I guess the question is, are we going to get a final flush out against Bitcoin? Or has the flush out already happened right here where we went below this really long-term trend line? So just for those of you who don't understand, the reason I don't care about total 3 by itself is because why hold altcoins if Bitcoin is just going to outperform them? You know, it's like, what's the point? You want to hold altcoins that are going to outperform Bitcoin. So I think of the whole altcoin market in a similar kind of way, where I only care about holding altcoins if they're going to outperform Bitcoin. And in a massive altcoin season, and we can go back and show you an example, what happens? You get most of your altcoins going parabolic and outperforming Bitcoin. So are we about to have another one of these parabolic surges? Now note, before the last surge, we had a very, very nasty drop by altcoins. So yeah, let's take a look at some indicators and maybe come to some conclusions. And as far as the weighted logarithmic Bollinger Bands go, we've just been kind of in choppy land. I do notice here that the Bollinger Band is trending down a little bit. You know, and we did try to come up to the median line and got rejected. So I am taking note of that. But this red candle has held some structure, so nothing to really panic about. Now, we had the smallest Gaussian ribbon ever, this little tiny green Gaussian ribbon. Not impressed by that at all. Just very neutral, right? Neutral is better than down, of course. So we'll have to see what happens next. But this doesn't really tell me much except the green is closed, and every time the green is closed, I believe it's been followed by red. So that does that does suggest that there's probably some downside on the horizon for altcoins against Bitcoin. Maybe one final hurrah by Bitcoin dominance will cause that to happen. Talk about being all tangled up. These are the whole moving averages. For those of you who don't know, a whole moving average, or HMA, is less lagging than a simple moving average. Death crosses and golden crosses, where you have lower moving averages crossing over higher ones, take on more meaning with the HMA than they do with an SMA. The good news is the 100-week SMA is curling up. That is a good thing. And you can imagine there'll be a pretty powerful golden cross that might emerge in June. If you were to just sort of extrapolate this out, that is very bullish. The bad news is we are trending below the 50 and 20 at the moment. And we're kind of in a squeeze. So maybe what we do is we come back down and test this lower yellow line again. You know, I'm not really imagining any like super dramatic drops. I mean, I could be wrong, there could be one. But seeing this 100-week HMA curl up is a good thing. You can see last time it curled up, you know, we did drop into that, but then we came out. So, I mean, we could have a volatile drop. I'm not ruling it out. It's certainly possible. I guess it depends what happens with this 50. I'm imagining this 50 could come down and form a death cross. If price keeps struggling here, it could form a death cross with the 100 at the same time a 100 is forming a golden cross with the 200. So this is a very confusing situation. It just looks like an accumulation range to me. So we're going to have to look a little bit under the hood to get a better idea of what's going on. Yeah, I also just noticed that the Gunnar EMA, you can barely see it, but right here it looks like it had a bearish cross. So that's not good. That's really not good. I think that's bearish, yeah. I mean, there's a bearish cross right here. There was a bullish cross in August of 2022. And it looks like we got back above things. I can't really tell what this is signaling here. I'm guessing a bearish cross though, because we are below both of these averages. It's just weird because we already triggered that cross here. So I'm not 100% sure if that even is a plus symbol there. Maybe I'm seeing something that isn't even there. But we haven't gotten a bullish cross, that's for sure. Well, unfortunately, the bears are in control right now. If you look at the ADX and DI, and not only that, but they're gaining strength. You've got a strengthening ADX, rebounding off of this double bottom. You got the red DI above the green DI. So altcoins against Bitcoin are in a pretty precarious position right now, probably finishing out their bear market, if I had to guess. There may be one more final flush out. The odds of that are actually fairly good, especially seeing this ADX coming up here. So hang on tight. If I'm going to go through a few other indicators, but everything is just looking bearish at the moment. The average sentiment oscillator looks neutral. It looked like it's trying to do some kind of bullish cross here, but I mean, this is a bullish cross for ants. This is tiny. So inconclusive. The ASO, I would say neutral at best. One of my favorite indicators, the reverse momentum indicator. I mean, I guess the good news is we hit a pretty major bottom of alts against Bitcoin in May of 2023, and we haven't come back to that since. Last time we got down this low was never. You can see we did put in a nice double bottom November and January. November 2020, January 2021. So, yeah, I mean, the good news is we've been putting in higher lows. So will this roll over one last time? I think the odds are in favor of something like that happening. Will it get down to these levels? I don't think so. I think this is going to stand as the low, the true altcoin reckoning in terms of momentum, right? We know that the actual altcoin reckoning came about a month later on one of these drops, but in terms of momentum, around middle of 2023. So I could see us having another drop for sure. Seems likely, but the channel is green right now, but this is accumulation, right? Green, red, green, red. So you probably see a little bit of red. Looking at the Snabble RSI, you can see that we have hit some pretty major bottoms. I mean, we had a bottom in June of 2022, got some bullish divergence, had a very long bottoming process from May to June of 2023, retested that in October. I mean, that's like a lot of touch points at very low levels. Then we formed a head and shoulders, which resulted in a downside. We've just kind of been hobbling our way up, but it looks like we got up in December almost to the red line. Now, we didn't get above it like we would in a true altcoin season. So altcoins really haven't done much of anything against Bitcoin yet. Does look like we're coming back down again. I don't think we're coming down to the green. I could be wrong. I mean, we could. That would be, a little dramatic, but that could happen, I guess. It does look like we'll probably come down again. I can't tell you exactly to where. Could also go up for all we know. But everything I'm seeing right now is leaning bearish or neutral at best. So I'm going to go with maybe one more trip back down. What a shame. The weekly MACD printed bearish divergence already at pretty low levels. So if you kind of zoom out a little bit, you can see this downtrend's been going on forever. So I really don't think we have much longer to go. One more drop at most, I think, and then we probably will be ready to start altcoin season. And if you look at where the 100 and 200 HMAs were lining up for a golden cross, seems like, everything I've been saying go to my channel videos. I've been saying late spring, early summer, late quarter 2, early quarter 3 is when I could see an altcoin season starting. Could it be starting now? I mean, it's possible, but that's not what I'm seeing in a lot of the momentum indicators. The stochastic oscillator is as neutral as you can get. Just go down into the bearish zone in October, come up to the bullish zone in December, and just hobble around in the meantime. So putting in these lower highs definitely leans more towards bearishness than bullishness. But like I said, I don't think we have that much further to go before a bona fide altcoin season. Now, I guess the good news is these are the Keltner channels. We've already spent time falling out of these things. This just looks like consolidation, and the Keltner channels are widening. And so that, generally means that volatility is decreasing. So That's why I'm saying I don't think the drop has to be super dramatic. It could be. Maybe we just test this yellow line one more time and that's that. We just confirm this low that we put in. I don't know. I have a hard time seeing us, I just can't see us doing something like this. So maybe we should take a look at the relative volatility index before we make any conclusions about that. Well, so the RVI, has been pretty neutral, right? And sometimes we see these neutral moves before we get a bigger move in a different direction. Now, the good news is this has been like bullish divergence ever since June of 2023. So things have been stabilizing and not very volatile when you're at a level of 50. The extremes are up here and down here. So all this is really telling me is accumulation range behavior. Even the wave trend oscillator looks neutral, and we hit max oversold in July and May. We haven't been overbought on the weekly since May of 2021. It has been a long time since altcoins have really seen the light of day, like seen some massive upside moves. And you can see even the moves we already made, they weren't that dramatic. So could I see this come down one last time? Yeah, it did inflect to the downside. Sure, we could come down a little bit. I don't think we're coming down to the green zone. I mean, I could be surprised and it could happen, but I just don't think so. I think we come down maybe to here and then curl back up. I think altcoin season is super nearby, like I do. I don't think that it's like a year off. I think we'll get an altcoin season sooner rather than later. And the bull bear power trend has already exhausted itself to the downside in October of 2023. The bears have been in control, meaning Bitcoin has been the king this entire time. And really, we haven't seen altcoins have their run like they did in late 2021 or even over here in 2020. It just hasn't happened yet. Not once. There hasn't been a single time where we've gotten green bars on here. So I think, yeah, this will come back down a little bit probably, but then I think we're heading into some kind of altcoin season probably not that long after this, big mountain resolves. If you look in the past, these downward mountains can last for a while. I mean, we had one started in June of 2018. Didn't truly resolve to the upside until 2 years later, June of 2020. So, now where did this mountain begin? Maybe you want to say it began in like March of 2022, May of 2022. I don't know. Hard to argue exactly where it began. The most volatile part of the mountain was in January of 2023. So, depending on how you want to interpret this mountain, you want to go for the 2-year time frame. We're pretty much almost there from the start of this, red mountain. If you go back to when we had a red mountain before, it was 2 years. So the red mountain started in January 2022. I mean, it's been more than 2 years, right? So this is kind of telling me that, of course, we only have one data point to go off of, but if history is any indication, we should be relatively close to starting to print some green. Finally, some good news. It's been all this bad news. I don't like this head and shoulders pattern, but it seems like it's already kind of played out. This is bullish divergence on the 5-week EMA. So I think this is the EMA. I always forget if it's the SMA or EMA. That's not going to tell me here. Well, anyways, who cares? I think it's actually an SMA. So on the 5-week SMA, it looks like we're coming back up. That is bullish divergence. Now, the question is, how high does it go? Is it a fake out? That I can't tell you. We are below zero. It's not a great place to be with the head and shoulders, of course. I don't think we're coming down. This is a double bottom. It's pretty convincing. So again, accumulation range. That is what this is. Have we seen this before? Yes, we have. Look at this. From October of 2019 to October of 2020, accumulation range with a pretty violent drop afterwards. And that marked the bottom in January 2021. So look at where we're at now. Accumulation range. Maybe we come back up and maybe we have a violent drop. That would take us out a lot further for altcoin season and put us out in the fall or even like the winter. I don't know if we got to wait that long. I don't think so. Remember, things don't play out exactly the same way that they did in the past. So I'm pretty optimistic we're going to see an altcoin season this summer. So, maybe we come up here into June, have a little trip down, or maybe this is a fake out and we come down. I don't know. but I have a hard time seeing us have to wait till like 2025 for an altcoin season. I think we'll probably have two of them, right? We might have one fairly soon, and then another one at the end of the cycle in 2025, assuming it goes that far. The triple exponential moving average, or TRIX, similar to the histogram we looked at, it's leaning kind of neutral right now. It might roll over. You can see in 2019, if we go back that far, we had a little bit of neutral, and then we rolled to the downside. But this is not 2019. If anything, maybe it's more similar to here, kind of like 2020 going into 2021. Of course we were above the line, so yeah, really hard to say. I don't know. You can't really look at the past with this, get any great projection. I mean, we've come down so far. Look at, here's July of 2021, December 2022, August 2020. That's a pretty convincing bottom. Now, we didn't make a double bottom out of it last time. Maybe we make an inverse head and shoulders here. We'll come down and then head up. That's kind of what I think could be a likely thing to happen. Yeah, I don't see why this has to take all the way till 2025. The parabolic SAR is looking very crabby. Right now it is in a downtrend. It's been in a downtrend for a while. To break this and turn this into an uptrend, we would have to get above this level right here. Let me pull up the crosshairs. So, we'd have to get above this ratio. Possible. Doesn't look like it's going to happen here, but it could happen. I have no clue. We're below the Keltner channel median line, which is not a great place to be, but the Keltner channels are wide, so there's a lot of variance. We're not really seeing that squeeze that you usually get before a big move, although the squeeze is a little less dramatic on a Keltner channel than it is on a weighted logarithmic Bollinger Band. If we pull up the weighted logarithmic Bollinger Band for comparison, you can see it is, a little more squeezy. So, 1 to 2 standard deviations. It's similar, right? The median line is more or less the same. I mean, they are a little different. They've actually met up right here. So, these aren't squeezing super tight. They could, if we continue to crab. So let's have to kind of see what happens here. The true strength indicator, I haven't used this one in a while, is showing that we're heading into potential bearishness here with this cross. This would be like a death cross. As you can see, what you want is you want blue above yellow. You don't really want the blue below the yellow. Now, we could buoy off of this, which would be beautiful if we bounced off that. I don't know if that's the most likely thing to happen or not. So what is my forecast going forward? I would say that altcoins are probably going to have some more weakness against Bitcoin, but that period of weakness should be ending relatively soon. We can only look to the past to get an idea of what might happen in the future, but the past really doesn't look that similar, right, in this situation. You could argue it's a more volatile version, but it really is, it's just completely different. We did have like this M-shaped formation that we kind of have now, right? But it's just not exactly the same thing. This violent drop was on a Bitcoin parabolic rally. Could that happen again? Sure. I mean, Bitcoin could recover and go parabolic towards 100K or something like that and surprise us all, have a Bitcoin only rally and have, dominance drop through the floor. Maybe your altcoin USD valuations go up, but then the Bitcoin valuations fall. That's certainly possible. I don't know. I have a hard time seeing. I don't think we'll ever revisit these levels again down here. I could see a drop. I definitely could, but I just don't know if it's going to be that violent. I don't think it will be. I think the bulk of that already happened. You see what happened here? We had a Gaussian that was concave down. Now, I can get concerned when the Gaussian goes green, because that's where we failed last time. So, but to make the Gaussian go green, we're going to need to see a little bit more upward price action. So, this is a really, really hard one to forecast. I'm going to be honest with you. But my projection is that we are currently in an altcoin accumulation phase. So if I were to just draw a box, okay, let's just draw I've got my rectangle here. It's going to draw a rectangle everywhere because of my settings. But let's just, let's just focus on this rectangle here. Ignore all the noise out this way or whatever. This looks like an accumulation zone. And I've been saying that over and over again, but that's really what we're seeing. I am seeing a strengthening of some bearish momentum on some of my indicators. So that is telling me, and also, the ADX and DI was probably the most concerning one of all. I'll pull that up again. I don't like seeing this come up, but it is, what is nice about it though is it is concave down. The fact that it's concave down means it could be forming a local top soon. And that's great news, especially if we start to see the bearish momentum, die off. I think, the bearish momentum has been running for pretty long. You can see that in the past it's never actually even run for this long. So that's already a good sign. We're already running long enough to see some kind of movement out of altcoins. I think we're going to get an altcoin season this summer. I do. Will it be the altcoin season that melts faces and gives you those crazy gains? For some projects, sure. But I think, I don't think it's going to be an altcoin season necessarily where all altcoins are just going crazy against Bitcoin. That would require Bitcoin to pretty much put in an absolutely euphoric final parabolic blow off top or something like that. We're not even sure if that's going to happen, but if it did happen, that's where I would be looking to see something kind of like this play out, right? We've already seen maximum strength play out, and these periods are pretty spaced apart pretty far, right? Like you look at this period of maximum strength, that was February of 2018. It took another year, almost 2 years, about a year and a half-ish to get to another period of maximum bearish strength. And then it took nearly, this was September 2019, June of 2021, so another year and a half to see maximum bullishness. And then here we are in July of 23, so another 2 years before we saw maximum bearishness. So if it's a year and a half from July of 2023, that places us in January of 2025. So if you're looking for the altcoin season that melts faces, and you think that this is somewhat cyclical, then we'd be looking at the end of this year into early next year to see that massive altcoin season. Now, that doesn't mean we can't have little altcoin seasons or even major altcoin seasons along the way, and I think we will, especially once this Gaussian turns green. What's going to cause it to turn green is upward price movement. So maybe we do, so what I'm thinking is we are likely to see an altcoin season in the summer as Bitcoin starts to recover. And then when Bitcoin goes parabolic again, assuming it does, I think you're going to see altcoins do something kind of like what happened here against Bitcoin, not against the US dollar. It'll go up against the US dollar. It's just that when Bitcoin has a parabolic rally, it steals the show. And then all those Bitcoin profits will flow back into altcoins, giving us the final blow off. So that's kind of what I think is likely to happen. Obviously, this throws the idea of a left translated cycle out the window, and I'm okay to abandon that theory, honestly. I don't think it's super likely to play out at this point. So I think that the cycle could, if you want to call the cycle ending at the end of 2024, early 2025 left translated, sure. It's not that dramatic of a left translation, though, if that happens. So, yeah, but for altcoins, the cycle could end in quarter 1 or quarter 2 of 2025. So just slightly left shifted. Not too dramatic. So I think that's kind of what I feel is a likely outcome to happen. Well, thanks for joining me in the crypto simulation for another one of my videos. I hope you enjoy the content. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Hit that notification bell. And I'd love to have you join us in the Snack Pit Telegram group. I do daily chart updates and analysis long before you'll see them in a video. So be sure to check that out. Just much more variety to my updates. Although my videos go into more depth. So, might as well just be in both. And yeah, that's about it for tonight. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. And I'll see you again next time. Bye.